Today is July 2nd, 2017. In this video, we're going to take a look at the market since the end of the quarter and end of the first half and end of the month came to an end on Friday. I thought it'd be good that we just go and take a look at the monthly, weekly, and the daily time frame and see where the market finish up and what we might expect the market might do. So let's start off with the Dow Jones Industrial and start off with the monthly chart here. And you can see it had a fairly strong month. It closed it up and also made a new all-time high. And you can see also the other thing is if we take a look at this presumably a channel here, then it's been hugging up the upper channel trend line. So unless it make a dramatic breakout move, the odds probably favor a pullback, coming back down and consolidate a little bit inside the channel. And we take a look at the weekly. The weekly got a little bit negative, right? Closed down a bit, and also got a little bit of a negative, with the spinning top candle or sort of hangman type of spinning top. And gotta be aware of this particular formation here, this price formation. That could be a more of a like a evening starlight type of candle, so candle pattern. So we shouldn't be surprised if kind of pull back to some of these level in the coming week. And if we take a look at the daily price action, and again we see that on the daily kind of close a little bit indecisive, but it did try to move up. Did close with a inside day candle, and you can see that it is trying to move above the previous high, but unable to do so. And so based on again on a little bit overextended, the possibility for a pullback is there, and the odds probably favor a pullback. But later on, I'm going to talk about a couple of the indexes that it might go in a little bit of twist, and that could create a trap either for the bulls or for the bear or for both. So we just have to be careful. Although right now, the buyers tend to favor a little bit on the downside in the near term, but on the intermediate term, it still seems to be on the upside here. So it's just a matter of what time frame that you're trading. But at least right now, there is some caution in the air, so we have to be careful on that. Okay, and if we take a look at the S&P 500, let's again go and look at the monthly chart here, and you can see that it also closed up and put in a new all-time high for the month. It did close up with a little bit of a shooting star, but it is a green candle nevertheless, and it did close positive. So again, we have to be aware that there is a possibility of some sort of a pullback because it is a little bit extended. And if we take a look at the weekly, again, the weekly didn't fall that well. We see a negative close on the weekly candle, and it's a fairly bearish type of candles. So shouldn't be surprised to see a further pullback. Again, just kind of be cautious about this potential evening star type of a pattern here that could flag a potential pullback in the near term. And if we take a look on the daily, you can see on the daily we have a inside candle here, and again, it didn't do too well. Try to push back to the upper end of this big down candle on Thursday. So right now we are still looking for a little bit of a pullback into this area here, maybe the for 2403, 2404 area. So those are kind of near-term level that we probably be looking at, and Then looking at the Nasdaq 100, the Nasdaq 100 uh, didn't do too well for the month. It actually closed down. Let me get this chart back here. It did close down for the month, although it did tag a new all-time high before it reversed. Right now, looks like it might want to pull back a little bit more, and it is also hitting up that upper band, upper trend line on a presumably price channel here. Okay, and if we take a look at the weekly price action, and the weekly, we have a outside bar that engulfed the last couple of weeks. So right now it seems to favor a little bit more downside in the near term. And then if we take a look at the daily, you can see that it is forming a lower high and slightly made a lower low here. So we'll probably see a little bit more downside in the near term, unless it could take out the previous week high. Then maybe we could watch for a potential test of the new all-time high. But until then, right now it seems to be favor. Maybe it come down and test this pivot low. So just have to keep an eye on that. And then on the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000, did fairly well for the month. It's one of the strongest index right now, and it closed up. It's a nice, solid, big green candle here. So it is trying to get the break out of this engulfing candle. It is doing a little bit of a inside month coil. Okay? And if we take a look at the weekly, it did close on a sort of indecisive doji spinning top type of candle. But again, it is still working on trying to break out of this engulfing candle. If it break above, then it's basically going to put in an all-time high. And if break below, then we could look at it potentially come back down and test this, lower level here, these lower level. Okay, so and if we take a look at on the daily, you can see that the daily on Friday it did close slightly down. And it did try to put in a new closing high here the last couple of days, Wednesday and Thursday, but it's just unable to do that. So that's the key. Watch this closing high. Okay, you have to make this closing high, push above that closing high, make a new all-time closing high. Then we could talk about and be watching for this all-time high here. Otherwise, if it failed to do that, then we might see a little bit of a downside pressure to push this thing back down. Okay, and if we take a look at the transportation been sneaking back up while the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones and kind of pull back a little bit. So we just have to keep an eye on that. Looking at the monthly, you see the monthly bar is quite strong, and it is come up and close on a monthly basis at a new all-time high. Although it did not tag a new all-time high on a monthly basis, right? But it is getting up there. The momentum seems to be in favor of the transportation here. You can see that you could look at this as a little bit of a W pattern or a double bottom here, and making a breakout on this pivot. So watch for the all-time high on the transportation. If that come up, that could help propel the Dow Jones Industrial toward the previous, the current all-time high there. So just kind of keep an eye on that. And then we also look at the daily. You see the daily candle is kind of almost, it's almost put in a new closing high on Friday, but it's kind of pulled back in the last half an hour and just close under it. So we'll see what they're going to do next week. Okay. And looking at the New York Stock Exchange, the composite, again, it's also had a strong month, and it actually closed, with a fairly strong candle here. It also made an all-time high and closed at a monthly all-time closing high. Okay, And on the weekly basis, you can see the weekly is also just like, the transportation. I believe the one of the other indexes, kind of indecisive here, but you can see that it is believe it could be a little bit of a slight engulfing outside day. Let me see here. On here, the low is 78.9, and here is 83.31. So this is a higher low. So it's not a engulfing outside candle here. So, but again, you can see that the New York Composite is trying to make its way up and challenge the all-time high. Its all-time high here. So although on Friday got an inside candle with a negative bias, but it still closed up, okay, on Friday. So that's have to be be pay attention to, and so watch for the challenge of testing the all-time high here, all-time closing high and all-time high from the New York Composite. Okay, so the thing is, gotta watch that transportation, the Russell 2000 and the New York Composite, right, to push the Dow Jones Industrial and possibly the S&P. Okay, although we have seen the QQQ or the Nasdaq 100, the Nasdaq Composite been on the weak side because of some of the large cap tech stock been sort of taken down recently. Okay, but that could foretell potential downsides to come for the market. Maybe a pullback, a substantial pullback. But also, if you look at the transition, in the transportation, into the transportation, and also into the Russell and the New York Composite, so it kind of give you a little bit of a mixed message, right? Usually when you go into the New York exchange, New York Stock Exchange, those are where the value play mostly be traded there, right? In the early days, most of the blue chip is traded in the New York, and the growth stock or the speculative stuff is in the Nasdaq, right? So, but on the Russell, we're basically looking at the small cap, and the small cap is making a move, right? So that kind of give you some idea that maybe speculation is coming back in. So again, a lot of people have been calling the market top here, but the market doesn't look like it had made a top yet. Okay, although it doesn't mean that we could not see a near-term pullback, but we have to see some sort of a climatic move, on the on some of those index to really blow this thing off before we see a substantial pullback. Okay, because there is still a lot of skepticism in the market, and usually the market doesn't top with skepticism. It top with optimism, right? Overly optimistic. Okay, so we have not seen that yet. But again, it is in a little bit of a crossroad right now, getting a lot of mixed signal. It could be making a move to a new high to trap some of the bears. Okay, to trap some of the bulls, thinking that this market is gonna go one much higher, or it could just snap back, and trap out of the bear thinking that a new bear market is started, and the top has been put in, then it reverses and put in new high on a lot of these indexes. So just be cautious, okay, and don't try to rush in and chase these stock, because usually at a euphoric type of move, you will see a lot of big move that will tempt you to just go and chase. Okay, so just be careful and enjoy the weekend. Good luck.